Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. Well, last night we spoke veterans cricket, and I mentioned our guest tonight's name just in passing last night because, of course, he is not just a veteran of South African cricket, but a whole host of accomplishments in South African cricket. And tonight, we're bringing on board Omar Henry once again to chat, first of all, about how South Africa have done over the last couple of weeks since last we spoke to him. And, of course, this weekend, Friday evening, we go into a four-match series against India in a T20 competition. Omar Henry, welcome to the program. It's always lovely to chat.
Always nice to chat to you, bud.
So let's start off with the ladies who, once again, did remarkably well. But as it seems the norm for South African cricket teams, we fall short at the final hurdle. But notwithstanding that, their performance in the Women's World Cup was quite outstanding, and especially that victory against the Australians in the semi-final.
Well, that's definitely them sort of breaking through, and that will do them a lot of good in terms of confidence and self-belief. And look, women's cricket has come a long way, and they have a tough journey to where they are now today. And they've done remarkably well. And credit to all of them on how they cope with all the challenges and what they've achieved. So let's hope that their path to the top and be part of the top 3 or 4 nations in the world will be a little bit more smoother and stable and consistent. For me, Louis, this country has got so much talent when it comes to sport, whether it is women, whether it is men, whether it is children, whether it is disabled, whatever. We're blessed with talent. What do we do with that talent?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We not only have the talent, we also have the facilities. Do you think that we played our final in the semi-final? I know that sounds Irish, but do you think we played our final in the semi-final?
One can debate that. However, I watched the game and I think New Zealand caught us by surprise. I don't think South Africa expected New Zealand to come hard at us in that power play. And maybe they were just a step ahead of us and we couldn't get into the game. They didn't let us settle and really play the way we wanted to play and the way we played our best cricket. That strategy on the day, they sort of rattled it, and we didn't have a plan B.
But I guess overall we can take a lot out of this competition. And if you look at how the New Zealanders did, I mean, they went into the competition having lost 10 out of 11 and then beat India in the opening game and went through to win it. So we can learn a lot.
There is a lot to be learned, and there's always a lot to be learned, whether you win or whether you lose, right? And the best time to learn is when you win, So, yeah, it's tough when you lose, especially when it comes to a final of a World Cup. But that is where you get tested in terms of your mental strength, in terms of your self-belief, your confidence, and your humility in terms of, right, I'm human, I'm not perfect. We can make mistakes. However, for us to get back into that same sort of battleground and mental toughness and everything, we have to recover quickly. And we have to put that aside and say, right, this is what we've learned. This is how we're going to do things from here onwards. And that is the nature of sport.
Absolutely. And what's so great about it is that the ladies don't have to wait long because an event is just around the corner. They play England in a couple of days.
Absolutely. And that is good. That is good for them that they play. And, this is why I said to you earlier on that I hope that their path will be smoother and more stable and more consistent. Those 3 elements are key to have a competitive advantage. Wherever you go in sport, that is key.
Right. Let's talk the men's situation, because I don't think that either of us would believe that we were in a situation in the World Test Championship, which is now sitting in our own hands, when we sent an understrength team to New Zealand earlier in the year. And here we are with an opportunity, 3 out of 4 test matches at home. If we win 3 of the 4, we are automatically in that final. I mean, I cannot believe we're talking about that.
Well, to be quite honest with you, when I saw the fixtures, and the first thing of the remaining fixtures of all the countries, I saw India has to go to Australia. And they can eliminate one another. So if they do eliminate one another, then there's an opportunity for somebody else, right? And that somebody else could have been England, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, South Africa. Is that correct? So anything was possible. Then I looked at South Africa's fixtures, which was Bangladesh away, Sri Lanka and Pakistan at home. Bangladesh was the toughest assignment on paper that I looked at. And I sort of said to myself, well, you know, in the past, some of our batters did very well in Bangladesh, scored hundreds, big hundreds. However, this is a new team. The one plus factor was that Ashwell Prince was going to go with them, who's been in that country. He's worked there. He understands the mentality of the Bangladesh cricketers. So there were advantages and there were some disadvantages. It was then a case of how are they going to apply them? I think the coach, Shukri Conrad, played a master stroke in terms of how he put that team together. And he might have got a lot of criticism for that, or people skeptical about how he put that squad together. But it was horses for courses in terms of his bowling. But he knew who was going to be his wicket takers. And he had to take 20 wickets to win the test match.
Yeah.
And for him to win the test match, he needed to score big runs. And it worked for him. He won the toss. And there's a few outstanding performances with a bat that came through from newcomers, i.e. Dazorzi, Verreynne, Stubbs, and Mulder. I mean, that is outstanding performances. And one will now hope that, if not all of them, they can build onto that. And hopefully we can get to that same level of a Callis, a Kirsten, a Graham Smith, an Amla, a Dean Alga, whereby we can produce batters that can score hundreds in a calendar year. Anywhere where they play in that calendar year, they can score hundreds, and a lot of them. And that for us was our trademark in the past. We had those kind of batters, and our bowlers had runs to bowl at.
And I think the one thing that impressed me the most, and I'm sure impressed you as well, is particularly the likes of Verreynne, Dazorzi, and Stubbs. It was occupation of the crease. It wasn't a case of wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, T20 or one-day international mentality. Verreynne in particular, Vian Mulder to a lesser extent, but he was in a different situation where he was able to express himself later on in the innings, particularly the big one. 3 maiden hundreds and 4 centuries in a series in the subcontinent in 2 test matches. That's pretty decent stuff.
That's remarkable, to be quite honest with you. It's more than decent. It's remarkable. And that brings me to the point of the talent that we have, right? And I hope that we, as an organization, will be big enough to admit that there's still a lot that we need to do with the talent in our country, that we can bring them to the forefront, whereby we can have a test squad with quality bench strength, an ODI squad with quality bench strength, 20 bench, and a T20 bench squad with quality bench strength. So these are the lessons for me out of this tour.
Omar, it's been great having the results that we've had. And I'm not sure if you've seen the article or even heard, and I don't mean to bowl a Yorker at you, but Makai Ntini has come out and said that he believes that Cricket South Africa should scrap the 2-division domestic format and revert to franchises if the national team are to have a balanced demographic representation. He believes that several talented black players in Division 2 are ignored by the national selectors because it's made to be inferior to Division 1. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts start with a discussion on how to improve our cricket holistically. We had franchise cricket, and you know what? According to me and the information that I gathered, right, the people who played in the 11 province system before the franchises, they were the people who dominated and played for South Africa. Now you can go and do your own research and you can see that. The franchise system, as far as I'm concerned, that put people like a Kemp and McKenzie on the bench. You can go and do your own research, and you can see that. So my point is it the 15 province system, or is it the coaching, or is it the selection, or is it the conditions we're playing on, or is it how coaches set their team up to play the game, right? If you want to play domestic cricket, you almost have to have a mentality in terms of 4-day cricket. I want to avoid a draw. So when you play 4-day cricket, that's 400 overs. So 400 overs, that's 100 overs a day. So if two teams bat 100 overs and they score 3.5 an over, that's 350.
Yeah.
If the second team
runs.
cannot bat at 3.5 an over, then the team who scored 350 will have a lead. He then go in on the second innings and he bats quicker and he leaves the other team, the opposition, a target to score. Now, if you don't play competitive and winning cricket, how are you going to learn?
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is, let's have a discussion about how are we going to improve cricket. Don't just thumbs up things.
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's turn our attention now to the upcoming series. And I've been saying this to many people. It means absolutely nothing. We lost the World Cup to India. So irrespective of what comes out of this, India will still be the T20 world champions. But I think we've got a lot in terms of spectator value to look forward to, and I guess some outstanding cricketers that are going to be on show over the 4 matches.
Well, for me, yes, I can understand why the series has been accepted or asked by Cricket South Africa, and the main reason is money, right?
And a lot of it.
We need money, all right? And here again, I hope if we're going to make money, that the people who are in charge today will look after that money and not squander that money again.
Yeah.
Because that happened the previous time, right? So again, there's learnings that need to adhere to. The other part of the tournament for me, yes, I agree with you that India won the World Cup. However, my view, when I watched 30 balls, 30 runs with 2 of our best batsmen at the crease, and we got to the conclusion that we lost the game, we beaten ourselves. India didn't beat us, right?
Yeah.
So we have to accept. If we cannot accept that, we won't grow. If we go in denial, we won't grow. We have to accept that we gave India the World Cup, and then we have to move on. And we've got to learn from it. And here's an opportunity to show that we are better than them and we've learned from our mistakes if it was a mistake. But you cannot have Miller and Klaasen, who would possibly rank in the top 20, maybe the top 10 even, of T20 world-class batters at the crease, at run a ball and lose it. It's beyond me, seriously. So that is my take, and I'm looking forward to watch it. And I hope South Africa is going to make a lot of money. And I pray that nobody puts their hand in the till.
Well, you talk about a lot of money. I mean, it's reported that there's a possibility of around R1 billion coming from this tour in terms of broadcast deals. That's a massive boost for Cricket South Africa's finances. I mean, there's no other way, not just South Africa, but any other country in the world who doesn't play India can make that kind of money.
Well, the thing is that, I don't want to labor the point, right? But money can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we've seen both sides of that coin, right? So all I'm saying is, I agree that we need money to grow the game in South Africa. We need money, but you need to spend your money wisely. You need to align your money and your decision-making to the growth of the game. And when I talk about growth, I'm talking about quantity. Now, Louis, there are underprivileged schools who are not in the system, Now, if we agree that there is talent in this amongst all of us in this country, then I would say that we've touched the surface, because there is a magnitude of schools that is not participating, and we haven't looked at that. So that is the one point. The other point is quality. Now we agreed that there is talent. Now let's nurture and support that talent to become quality, the way it should be, the way it can be. We have 15 provinces. 15 provinces. If you go to each of those provinces and you add up the primary schools, you add up the high schools, you add up the clubs, you add up the players, you add up the talent that each province identify from the age of 13 to the age of 25, and you play the numbers game, you're only looking for 10% in each format.
Yeah, when you look at it like that, it makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about the South African team and some of those possible players that you're talking about. Bilali Mpongwana, somebody that stands out for me. Dile Simelane. Names like that are not necessarily familiar to South African cricket fans have been given an opportunity in this T20 squad. Whether they'll play in the game against India in Durban to start the tour off or not, I guess not. But nice to be part of the squad and to be given an opportunity to experience what it's like to be in an environment at that level.
Well, if you pick people in a squad, in a series like that, right, the way it is, then there has to be a strategy and there has to be an honest discussion with them, whether they're going to play or whether they're not going to play. For me, where South Africa sits now, they'll have to play because you won't know how good they are or how bad they are if they don't play. They have showed enough in the domestic cricket that the potential is there, right? Let them play and you can have a discussion on what comes out of those games. So whoever is going to select those teams on the day, it's just got to be smart and clear on what they need to do. The bottom line is, Louis, we need bench strength in every format. And in test format, we still haven't got a quality team yet. We're busy getting there, and it's getting better.
Yeah.
Our T20 squad is a very competitive squad, but it needs bench strength. And so is the ODI. And that will be the best environment that those who are in charge of cricket, our international cricket, can give to the country is bench strength. Let people who's in that squads know that they cannot become complacent.
And I think the world of cricket is being shown up this time round by the fact that India have got a T20 squad in South Africa under an interim coach in VVS Laxman. Well, Gautam Gambhir is with the test team preparing for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. I mean, that just shows you exactly what you're talking about in terms of Indian cricket with the strength in depth that they've got.
That's one example and a very good example. Then you take New Zealand who went to India without Williamson. They've lost 2 or 3 quality quick bowlers, right? And they came home with a 3-love series win in India. So out of that, they have given young potential opportunities, and they went to India with a mentality to win, to play smart cricket. And the common denominator between the New Zealand batters who scored runs and the South African batters who scored runs on turning pitches was the sweep. They swept very well, very well. And in today's cricket, because of the T20, they got another skill, the reverse sweep as well. So all of a sudden, the spinner cannot just dominate you. So that mentality is a plus factor for both teams who went there on turning pitches and beat the home side. Now, if you cannot come home with confidence and self-belief and then grow that team to another level, then there's something wrong. But New Zealand has paved that way with 5 million people.
That is the most remarkable thing about it. And they went there with the confidence, knowing that they could take on the Indians and beat them, and they certainly did. Right, let's get your prediction. 4 matches. Durban, of course, the first one. I guess the first prediction is hopefully it doesn't rain and we get a full game of cricket. But overall, I guess the home side should clinch the series.
That's what my heart is saying. But it tells me that India wants to prove that they can rule cricket in the world, whichever format. You can call it arrogance, call it whatever you want, but that is their mission. On and off the field, they want to rule the game.
In conclusion, I mean, I know how excited I am, and I'm sure you are as well. What a summer of cricket we're going to have. India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, one days, T20s, test matches. I mean, I can't wait.
Neither can I. Now, add to what you're saying, in the next 2 or 3 years, we can add a quality domestic competition, plus the SA20 who's busy growing.
Yep.
Can you imagine what the summer would look like in the next 10 years?
And you know what, Omar? It's not just what the summer would look like. It's what the young 6, 7, 8-year-olds see over the next 4 or 5 years that will inspire them to want to become the Rabadas and Claessens and so on of South African cricket.
I wanted to add that to it. I wanted to say to you, the kids will demand from their parents to go to that game. Even so much so, if domestic cricket becomes an exciting event, whether it is 4-day, whether it is 50 over, whether it is T20, if they play a good brand of cricket that's exciting, we will get more people to watch domestic cricket as well. I don't know why we are afraid to do that.
Yeah.
That is my dream. That is what I'm asking myself on a daily basis. What would cricket look like in the next 10 years? And what should it look like? Now, at international front, whether it's women or men, we're turning the corner slowly. I'm asking, what is the next level doing? Are they turning the corner slowly? My answer is no. I want to see action. I don't want to hear talk. We talk too much.
Yeah, we do indeed.
Let's have action.
And in your dream is like my dream of the 80s and 90s, doing ball-by-ball cricket, 3-day in those days, sitting in a commentary box, talking about the game, watching the students and the kids and everybody else coming in, having a chance to play at Newlands, on the field at lunchtime. What's wrong with these people?
Right.
Let's get back to those days.
Louis, just a question before you go. Was their result a winning result in 3-day cricket then, in those days?
Absolutely there was, and it was exciting.
So how come there was a winner after 3 days, but we struggled to get a winner after 4 days?
Well, as a spinner, I can explain that to you quite simply. Your run-up was 5 paces. Bowlers now and captains take forever. You get, 12 and a half, 13 overs in an hour, and you can't get 80 overs in a day. Now, in those days, it was a different story. Bonus points, opportunities, and also, now we really off the point, but hey, it's my program, so I can go off the point. You had the Clive Rices and the Eddie Barlows, whose thought process was, let's win a game, not draw or prevent us from losing a game. And that's what made it so exciting, because even in the last 20 overs, in the last hour of a Currie Cup game in those days, there was always the result possible.
Now, that brings me back to my point. Let's play winning cricket. Let's play winning cricket, and we prepare that talent towards that objective. Play winning cricket. So when you train to win games. If you're a bowler, you train to take wickets, to bowl maidens. It's specific. When you bat and you train to score runs and big runs. Formulate partnerships. Don't be afraid to start a game, then you start a game not to lose. You start a game to win.
Absolutely.
And then you take the ABC steps and you move on. So captains, coaches, and the hierarchy of Cricket South Africa has to discuss what makes you a quality cricket nation. From grassroots right to your international team. It's a journey. It's a process. Buy in. If that is what we need, because that is how we're going to make money to grow the game. There is no other way.
On that note, we leave you this evening with the thoughts. Be nice to each other. We'll talk cricket once again. South Africa versus India. We'll preview that for you in full as we talk to you again on Friday. But tomorrow evening, we're talking rugby. The South African rugby team are in action this weekend. They, of course, are taking on Scotland. Andy Capistano will join us tomorrow evening when we preview an international rugby weekend, a cricket weekend. There's Premier League football. Oh, there's so much happening this weekend. As always, be nice to each other. Until next time, bye for now.